it's a topic that Flemming and I have been talking about recently, about entrainment, that collectively we can create and power up and magnify energies. And when I woke up to this beautiful, peaceful environment this morning, I'm also in Dubai, I was thinking, what a beautiful day to be participating in what we're doing with regards to the collective energies of peace, of prayer, of meditation that happens today. So tell me, Myrette, tell me from your point of view, you're an energy expert, obviously. What are your thoughts about that? How we can learn from the contrast of the last few months, and what we can bring to our day to day to move forward in a new way?
A loaded question. How can we bring in the energy? I use the energy on my life and everything. So first of all, I check energetically with my heart a lot of stuff before I do it. So that's the way I bring it in. Moving forward, it helps me make decisions. And because we are in a period of uncertainty, it's really hard to make decisions, at least for me. So I needed that. I needed to learn that tool to actually connect to something bigger than me and higher than me so that I can have some answers, and it guides me a lot. So that's one way I use it to move forward, and I think I've used it all the time to move forward in my decision making. So that's the simplest way that I can bring them together, your knowledge of energy, and then start using it in your everyday life. As simple as, like, is this a good food for me? Is this a good place for me to go today? I even ask, what am I supposed to be doing this morning? This is one of my everyday questions to my heart, to my higher self, like, what am I supposed to be doing this morning? And it sort of dictates, do I do the video, or do I go check something else that I need to do for my work, or do I just rest and have fun? And that's how I use it in a simple way, if we're going to talk about that.
Flemming, what, because I know, similar to Myrette, we always talk about, tuning in. We're already working on a lot of projects together. How do you stay tuned in when entrainment is happening and causing disturbances in the energy around you?
Entrainment is, the law of nature. Is you can say energy vibrations. It's me vibrating. So first of all, every morning I need to connect to the soul agent of energy, the universe, and meditate. You can say be mindful to fill myself up. When we talk about the COVID-19, the 15th of March, I lost my legs and been in bed 60 days, and I could take you can say, through the combining my thought with the universe, the energy, and bringing in positive memories, I actually got healed, if you can follow me. So for me, COVID-19 has been you can say, a blessing. It's been a time for focus. It's been a time for direction, and looking at what the two of us actually has accomplished since we met 6 months ago. And our energy together and bringing it together with the universe, we have accomplished more than the last 3 months that I, for myself, has accomplished in 10 years. So when you are connected to the universe and we connect and vibrate in the same phase, then you tenfold the energy. You don't run out of energy, if I can say so. Can you follow what you just increase energy.
Does that mean you feel you're more energetic, you can do more? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, you fill up your body. You can say that when we focus on love, which is God also, we bring that into our veins, our culture meter, the blood, and then we have good food trucks running around. We have dopamine, vasopressin, we have serotonin, we have oxytocin running around in our body. We have our growth system is totally open, and we are full. We're not running out. The other part, if we go into fear and shut down the immune system and go into stress, which many people may have done, if you're focusing a little bit on the amygdala, you can say social needs has been understimulated. We have been locked up. We have been put into prisons. We have been in survival mode. Worries, salary reductions, firing, losing jobs, not knowing what's going on. Humans wants to control, and according to their comfort zone, everything needs to be in harmony. It's not, and everything has actually evolved around us, and the situation is totally new, which brings us into a fear situation and reducing energy. That's the food process. When I'm talking energy, it is, filling your body, filling your mind, filling your heart with good food. We as humans are energy.
How would be fed, as you say, with high energy when you want to find peace, when you can satisfy your heart? Myrette, you were talking about your heart energy. You can tune into your heart. I have clients that really struggle to find that place of peace. So when all of this stuff is happening in the media, again, going back to, it's actually easy, like a day like today, to wake up and feel that peace. It's easy because it's all around us. People go on retreats. It's easy to be on a retreat and have that peace and have that practice. And then they go back into their disturbing environments and they lose it again. So how can we capitalize on what's the energy of today in a way that builds in a new practice and makes sense of the last 5-6 months?
You're asking, Myrette?
Yeah, I'm thinking. No, well, first I wanted to say you need to teach your body that feeling. Actually, what Joe Dispenza talks about a lot is that you need to teach your cells what it feels like. So if you could start to, it sounds hard, it's not that hard. You just start remembering that moment where it felt so peaceful. It could be even just the minute you woke up in this bed and you didn't get out of your room. You just have a moment of quiet. Teach your whole body what it feels like to just be in that peace. And then maybe touch on that several times a day, especially when things get stressed out. It'll take a bit of practice until you get there. But then you've taught every cell in your body what it feels like. And since it's all about the inside, it's not the outside, what's happening in the environment, you can, in the middle of chaos, go back to that part. Now, people who meditate also know how to do this, of course. So if you meditate, you learn to take those moments and feel that peacefulness, and it becomes part of your life. So it's a practice in the beginning. I don't really meditate that regularly. I have learned to use my heart. I connect with my heart by touching my heart, and I use what Heart Math teaches. And because I trust that this stuff works, also I have a belief system that says, yes, I am connecting to my heart. And then, yes, I am getting calmer for a few minutes by breathing through my heart. It is working for me. But it's as simple as that. You just put your hands on your heart and you pretend or you assume or you think that you're breathing through your heart, and very slowly. And then you go to what Flemming just talked about. You go to a moment in your life where you felt your heart open and just full of love. It could be when you held your dog, when you hold your baby. It could be when you see a flower and you just have that beautiful feeling. So you go to that moment in your mind, and it connects you very fast, because as he said, it's all about love. And you actually connect to a very higher self, or to God. I feel you connect to God because you're at a moment where your heart is totally open. And when you do that often, whenever you get stuck, just learn to breathe that way. It really does calm you down, and it sends a lot of good messages to the body, which Flemming just talked about. The right hormones, what flows through your body is totally different from being in the fear, which we are mainly in that most of the day, because just the world's demands, job, money, I don't know what, you're always in some kind of fear, and you have to train yourself. Definitely, definitely. This period has brought a lot of uncertainty for a lot of people, and there are people who are in pure fear. So this would be a process that would really help. And I just want to add that everybody will find their own way. So that's my way. Some people meditate, some people pray more, whatever it is for you, but find that and make it a practice, make it part of your life.
And I think I would absolutely agree. I mean, I found my way through meditation and through gratitude practice. And gratitude is known in the work of David Hawkins. It's known that, and in embraining and heart math, gratitude is a way that you can tune your heart into the wavelength of love. And gently you can it opens your heart by entraining it on purpose. It's the purposeful practice of doing it again and again and again, and slowly you're inducing, even though it may not feel natural at the beginning, you're actually inducing that wavelength, and it becomes familiar over time.
Exactly. I also use gratitude daily. That helps me a lot. And when I don't, it's not the same. So I've been doing it for, I don't know, 8-9 years, and it makes a big difference. And gratitude, I mean, you don't even have to really read an energy or do anything, you know, just a gratitude book. Just take a book and write what you're thankful for every day, 5 things. And you don't have to even believe in a lot of other stuff, but it works. It works because of the way there's a lot of science in it, and you love science too. So there's a lot of neuroscience of how gratitude works.
There's the neuroscience behind it, yeah.
Yes. Yes. And on top of that, of course, all the religions talk about gratitude. So it's definitely proven. And I'm a person also that always likes to merge the religions and the teachings with the energy work, because it's just, for me, it's beautiful, because people talk energy, it's very modern and it's very, you know, forward. And then you bring in the religion and you have the wisdom there too. So you could bring it together.
Flemming, we were talking about generosity as a concept. We were exploring the concept of generosity. And it's in the work that Flemming and I have been doing, we found that gratitude opens your mind to accepting spiritual intelligence. So from gratitude, you can move into forgiveness, and you can move into key spiritual intelligence levels that we work with. And we're working with organizations. So this isn't so much, the personal belief system, but actually the neuroscience of spirituality, if you like. We were exploring generosity, and we found that it's generosity of wisdom, when you're sharing wisdom and sharing knowledge and sharing experiences and working in collaborations as I have been doing with both of you. What we've actually been sharing is our wisdom, our effort, our intentions, the positive intentions. So Flemming, you spoke about how healing, if you like, the energy of love is. And in our work, generosity also gives you that piece, that dopamine, the feel-good factors. How would you... What are some practical tips that you can bring generosity and the biochemicals of the reaction? Your brain will release the biochemicals. So what are the practical tips would you say? And this is like total brainstorming off the top of your head that would be actually helpful for people on a day like today.
When you talk gratitude and we talk generosity. For me, 16th January 2010, I died 20 minutes and had an encounter with the soul energy, with the soul agent of energy, or the universe, God in my brain. So here you can say that everything was reversed in my system. When I woke up at the hospital and all that kind of stuff, everything was totally new, like you can say reborn. Gratitude is essential for me. Every day I wake up in the morning, I am happy because I got a roof above my head, I got clothes to put on my body, and I'm still breathing. So when we talk generosity, on focus on the world, and Myrette talks about we are almost in fear all the time. Yes, we are, because everything in the world is negative centered. There is a reward or there is a stick, no matter what is happening around us. Either we get rewarded or we get punished. We live or are brought up from 0 to 7 in a world full of scarcity. Scarcity is very strong. We have a lot of fears between our ears, if we can say so, which are not relevant, which is not reality, but it's put into our head. It's a limitation, conditioned. First of all, we need to be conformed. We're not allowed to step out of the crowd. Next, everything is scarcity. Everything is losing, the fear of losing. I lost that when I died. I lost everything and so on. But I also lost the fear of losing. I don't have the fear of losing anymore. I don't, and it's a process, you can say, in the brain. We want to be in control. Things needs to be in harmony in our comfort zone. And if it's not in harmony, everything is rejected. Harmony in comfort zone is actually the prison of habits. The prison of habits. We need to evolve. We need to grow. So you asked about how am I doing my stuff? How am I healing myself? You see, my brain is the chemist. My perception, my comfort zone is the interpreter of reality. So I paint by numbers in reverse. If you know paint by numbers as you were a kid, you had a painting, you had some numbers, you had some color codes. So I take my thought, combine it with the universe. That gives extra power. And then I put in the positive picture. And for me to heal when I lost my legs, I put in the good, the great pictures. And by doing that, I release the dopamine, the endorphins, and everything. So paint by numbers in reverse, reversification, if you can say so. When I get angry, I reflect and say, do I need to get angry? No, actually not. I'm wasting a lot of energy. I take out the thought, read it, and say, do I need to relate to this? We have, 12,000 to 60,000 thoughts every day. 95 of them are repeated. We have been having those thoughts, I don't know how long, but the other part is that 80% of these thoughts are negative. They are put into our head. We research neuroscience called them ants, automated negative thoughts. They pop up in the neurocortex all the time and limit us. We need to be conformed. We need to have conditioned, limited belief. I stepped above that. I'm no longer in the cloud. Can you follow? I stepped out of the cloud. I'm connected with the universe. I connect to the 20% of the resources surrounding me, which is giving me 80% income. The other part, the 80% surrounding me, is giving 20% income. I don't need to relate to that. Let somebody other do that. I need to focus on the 20% surrounding me, according to the Pareto principle, who is giving me 80% income. So I have my peers. I have you. Yeah.
So with regards to the generosity aspect.
Yes.
Because what we actually have, you and I, and what I have with Myrette as well, is that sense of generosity together. That's the binds that we share. We're not transacting in our services. We're not reducing ourselves into in all the time. I mean, I've known Myrette so many years, and I've known, like you said, we're on for 8 months now, I think. But how do you explain to somebody who was us 20 years ago? Both of you from banking background, you're used to transactions, you're used to everything being certain, accurate, discrepancies are cleared out the system. We now live in a world where everything's a discrepancy, and our path through is actually by sharing and by giving wisdom. And we're also in a world where you have celebrities everywhere and negative media giving, not giving wisdom, but giving status. So how do you bring that sense of generosity that has healed us, the three of us, into something practical that people can learn from?
First of all, I said paid by numbers in reverse. You need to start fueling your body. For me, why did I die 16th of January 2010? Because I've been in fear that long. My whole system was running out of everything because I have shut down the immune system. I was in stress all the time. I didn't have anything inside of me. That's why I collapsed. So I was in zero, in minus. I can sometimes when we go for vacation, we go for zero, but we never go into plus. You need to bring yourself into plus. When you are in plus, you can start seeing things. The part is when we're talking generosity, and when we talk generosity, most people think of money. I'm not thinking of money. Money is a mean. Money is not giving me anything. I need something for transaction, but no matter how much money I have, it's not improving my life. It's not improving my health. For some people, money is very essential, but this is because they don't have anything inside themselves. They need the big car. They need the watch. They need the suit to give them confidence. I don't need that anymore. How did I reach that area? By reversing everything in my body, because you can say life is measured by your wealth outside yourself. I'm focusing on the wealth inside myself. But if you look at celebrities, what is their car, and all these kind of things, it's, if we're talking God here, what God created. It's not about what God created, but many people focus on that. And the more they have of what God created, the more power they got. I don't see it like that. I changed everything inside of me and focusing on inside of me. When I am full of love, I will attract a lot of different things into my life. When I do not have scarcity, when I start giving my time of myself, people will come to me. Is that right? I'm attracting people now. If you're looking at people in love, are they shining? Yes, they are shining. Yes. And by their shine, they will attract people. And by their vibrations, they will attract what is necessary to live their life. But the other part is I'm not measuring outside of me. I'm measuring inside of me. If I need to give an advice, which I have to because you asked, I need to have the wealth inside of me. If you're looking at your heart, it actually has its own intelligence. If you're talking heart math, it has intelligence by itself. But everything in you, when you focus on your surroundings, if you focus on your 20%, if you're focusing on your 3 R's, which is you can say recognize what you have to do, what is not negotiable in your life, what you absolutely have to do, and return is what are you really good at? What are you really good at? Where do people come back and say, wow, this is really good? That's where you need to, that's your 20%. And what is happening here? What is the reward? It's spiritual energy, it's mental energy, it's emotional energy. Because you're doing what you're really good at, you're doing your passion, you're doing all the great stuff, and you're just receiving energy. And you're attracting the right people. And everything, you're just growing inside of you. And everything else will come to you then. But we are focusing on, oh, I need this car, I need to save, I need this suit, I need to do a lot of things. Don't manage your time, manage your energy. If you manage your energy, it will come to you. But it's something inside of you. But if you from the age from 0 to 7 is programmed for conformity to society, for, you can say, scarcity, How can you be generous? Everything is negative. When I grew up, I got a sentence in my head from my uncle. I can easily understand nobody likes you. That was my sentence of life. It was taken out of context because it was in a situation, but it became my truth. I can easily understand nobody likes you. And I saw myself excluded in every given situation in the future. Another thing is, you do not deserve. Oh, I do not deserve. This becomes my truth taken out of context, because as a kid, I get the message, but I take it out of the context, and it become an and in see you back.
Yeah. I hope it recorded what was going on.
Yeah, well, we were actually talking about the concept of failure, and that there's no such thing as, so when you're talking to people who are not familiar with this idea that you can't fail, Myrette, maybe you can talk a little bit about that, this idea there's no such thing as failure, there's just learnings and moving forward.
I wanted to go back actually to generosity and just wanted to comment a bit.
Yeah.
Because as you said, we've been in a relationship, and I have this relationship with more than one person. And being a banker and being a person that everything I turn into numbers, everything I turn into numbers. You know, everything calculates in my mind into numbers. Even if I'm cleaning the house, it's all numbers. 20 minutes here, 10 minutes here, it's all numbers. But then when you have this kind of relationship, which I really have believed for years that it should have been that way without money, it makes it so much easier. So like when I call you and I need help, I just message you. I don't think about how much it's going to cost me, what you're going to charge me. And you don't have to think, should I charge you $10 or $20 or is it $250? It has nothing to do with that. It has like, I'm going to give her what she needs. And it's an amazing feeling. And I wish the world could have been that way in everything. I could have gotten my food, I've gotten my electricity, and you just wake up and give what you know how to give, and take what you need to take from others.
And I think the world used to be like that, didn't it?
It would be so much simpler.
In the olden days, before currencies, before technology, before development, and I believe in innovation and technology and development, but it's in the olden days, what we valued wasn't necessarily the money. The money was something that facilitated, and it seems that now it's become the focus.
Too much, to the point where the world has become really it's based on like a lawyer, a coach, or whatever. It's a time. I give you 45 minutes, I give you 55 minutes, I give you 2 hours. It's become so much where it's not like a human dealing with a human. So the generosity is to, even if you can't do that on your general life, but to find a space, I believe, that where you can do that, where if there is no numbers, there is no money related, there's nothing but I want to help a fellow human. Just I want to help. It's like, I'm going to just say, it's like when you see a dog in the street that's hurt, of course he's not going to pay you, and you pick them up and you take them to the hospital, and you do all this stuff out of pure love, just because this is what you're supposed to do as a human being. So this is something where it's on that part of the scale, it's way out there, but I mean, we can work towards how we can provide some of that. One of the things that makes me happy now is my gratitude book and my connection. And the third thing is I have a support system that is not at all based on money. Now, I do have a support system that is based on money, but I have a support system that is, I know those people I can call anytime for what I need. And there's no money in the story to start with. It's not like I owe her, she owes me, I need to pay her, she needs to pay. No, it's at all. She needs something, she'll call me up, or he needs something, he'll call me up. So that feeling is really a good feeling. I think it brings you back to humanity.
And I think it's also having experienced your support system a few weeks ago, when you said you put me in touch with somebody and that person helped me without there was no financial transactions, and the mutual benefits and the rewards that Flemming was talking about it was very profound, and it actually taught me that when you are generous, eventually by practicing your gratitude, practicing your generosity, your positive feelings, and connecting with other people that do the same. So being wise with your connections, to be able to build up that support system. It's really, really, really important to be able to advance, because one can't advance alone. We're talking about collective energies today, and it's always easy when you're in that collective energy of peace, but when you're in a collective energy of that is disturbed, having that support bubble, if you like, of positive shared experiences and collaborations is vitally important, I think, for our humanity.
Well, Rania, I want to ask you a question, because yesterday we were also speaking and you talked a bit about collective energy at this timing. And I'd really would like to talk a little bit about that too, to share with people what is going on at this time and how will it help us moving forward?
I think what we know about energy is that when you have higher frequency energy, and energy is emitted primarily from your heart center. So you can measure, it can be measured on an ECG. We've been referring to heart math, but the energy that's released from your heart is far more powerful. Those wavelengths are far more powerful than your head energy, which is measured on an EEG when you look at brain scans and that kind of thing. So by tuning into higher frequency energy, your heart can actually emit up to several meters away, energy that is several meters away. So in this way, our hearts penetrate frequencies that connect us to each other. And we can feel it like we do today. You feel it, that penetration goes into the objects around us and the spaces around us. So walking into any place of prayer, you find that peace. Several years ago, we were in, if you remember, Myrette, our trip to Bali. It was about 10 years ago, actually. And the monasteries, the temples there, that's where I wanted. That is, first of all, I hadn't seen you for quite a while, and we reconnected after a very long time.
Yes.
And then we've stayed very close since then. But that feeling of peace, that feeling of contentment with nothing, no monetary value that's involved in it, was something that was very profound on that trip, in that particular place. And we were talking yesterday about today's energy, where everybody's waking up from last night and through the night, and this morning people are waking up in this collective peace, and how we can connect into that. So I think, we're talking about entrainment when we affect each other's energies, and we do it in a positive way. We can do it in a negative way through our hearts. So by practicing that gratitude practice, and even though we feel that it's just us, there is entrainment that occurs in our families. There's entrainment that happens with our children. There's entrainment that happens in a broader community from the work that we do on ourselves. And I think over time, we can, by sharing our wisdom about this, we can bring that collective strengthen, if you like, that collective consciousness scientifically through the work that we do personally.
Agree.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So, Myrette, sorry, Flemming. I was just going to mention the time. How are we doing on timing?
I think we're just taking our time. It's okay. I have to check.
Good.
Okay.
Just go a step back to the generosity and the money part. I think that many people are having a black book where, oh, I owe you this, you owe me that, I owe you this, you owe me that, and now you're in minus and you need to do something for me and stuff like that. I don't have that. It's not important. I'm very sure that
the indebting process, isn't it? That you're indebted to me for doing this, and you did that 5 years ago. And
yes, and people are even standing in a situation. Why did you do that? Why did you do that to me? Why did you do that for me? Yeah. What does he want from me? That's the position they are. Instead of just accepting this is a free gift.
Yeah.
I do it because I love you, not love you in that sense, but I do it because I want to be generous. I do it because I like this part. When I, you can say, died and went to one, I bankrupted, I lost everything. I had 1 million in debt and so on. So I left everything and was living in the streets. And then I was picked up by a family, brought to their home, a fire started and I died and that kind of stuff. But when I came out of the hospital, I thought I have one friend, I know for sure he's generous. So I went to his door, knocked the door, and I was standing out there. And he said, wow, when he opened, welcome, we really missed you. Where have you been? And he invited me in. What he could have done if he was not generous was just to, oh, I have some old clothes, and here is a food bag, and goodbye, have a good life. This is not generosity.
Again, is that the generosity through a support group for giving without necessarily a return, knowing what the return will be, and that's actually very interesting because many people I know would not accept help because they don't know how to pay it back, and it's the idea that for them a personal value is, no, I can't possibly accept your help because I wouldn't be able to return that favor. And it's like, well, this isn't a favor. If everyone paid for, this is the paying forward approach. If everyone paid forward, then it comes back round from a different means. So again, moving from a transactional to a
absolutely right. What you're saying here is that he's not giving to me, he's giving to the universe. He knows that the universe will support him in other areas. So I'm not giving to somebody, I'm giving because I love to give. And I know that I will never run out of means because I will be supported by the universe.
Yeah.
This is a totally different thinking than I give to you, and now I need to note in the book that I gave to you. So now you're in debt to me.
So this is really interesting because what's coming to mind is this idea of also accepting. So one is your black book that you can hold against others, which is projecting onto others that very closely linked to projection. But the other thing that has just sprung up is how can people, so to give, one must also accept. And when one accepts, one is, that exchange happens naturally. I know most females I have connections with have had the conversation about how can we accept more? How can we accept compliments? Apart from your husband's compliments. Husband's compliments are the easy ones to accept. But when someone says, you're really, oh wow, that's a talent. And you go, oh no, one has to be modest. How can we build this? It's okay to accept learnings or attitude into our lives.
It really gave me a lot of trouble because I was just giving. And I got a lot of trouble here because females, what does he want from me? What is in his head? I come in, wow, your hair is beautiful. And women could not accept that. And other women were thinking, oh, do he want to be my boyfriend? What's going on here? So I stopped, actually, to compliment females.
You stopped giving.
I stopped to compliment because it was misunderstood. But the other part is that the scarcity is out of my system. That means that if somebody wants to give me something, I'm just accepting it. I'm not saying no. And in my country, in Denmark, we have transparency ranking #1 in the world, which means that when I was working as a bank manager, I received a bottle of wine or a packet of chocolate. It could not go to me or my home. It needs to stay in the bank and be shared there, because I was not supposed to be in debt to somebody who could claim something from me later. So this is when we're talking corruption. Uh, for me, I don't have that problem anymore. First of all, I'm not working in the bank, but I'm not keeping again the scoring book and saying, oh, I got this from this guy, so I need to give him something or her something. No, somebody gave me something, and I can pass it on to somebody else. Not necessarily what I got, but I can, if I got whatever I got, I can exchange that and give it so it fits somebody else. I'm just, you can say the Dead Sea is blocked. I'm just it's a reservoir. I'm just a river.
Mm-hmm.
Things are just passing through my life. I know I'm not running out of things, and I know that the more I give, the better life is. And when I give, that's the other part. When I give something to somebody, which is not money, and they blossom, I'm not a failure anymore.
Yeah.
It's elevating me. It's very difficult to tell myself I'm a failure when I gave somebody, which of me, it could be my teaching, it could be whatever, and they succeed because of that. Then I can't be a failure. Sorry, but can you follow what I'm saying?
So actually, through your giving your wisdom, you can begin to see the evidence that you're also successful. You're also abundant.
I am
within
successful.
Yourself.
Yes, I got messages from I've been traveling 88 countries. I've been working with low and high all over the world, and when I meet somebody, I'm very well aware that they can teach me something. It could be the guy sweeping the street, it could be the CEO of a large international company, but I am well aware if they can teach me something, that's the way I treat them. And when I have went for speaker events and so on, I got messages from people. I met you, and I got this dream, and now I'm a doctor, or now I'm a teacher, or now wow, wonderful, great. But success is for me measured by the seed sown, not the harvest reaped. I can sow the seeds, and the single individual can fertilize and water. It's up to the single individual. I'm not going to push them.
Again, that single individual. And Myrette has been somebody who has given me so many seeds and so many pearls of wisdom. Myrette, how would you, and I'm asking Myrette because of the female thing, the cultural female idea about accepting. What advice do you have for people to accept generosity that is offered to them? And we're not talking money, although it includes money. We're not talking, in Arabic culture, food is really important. But then you also have this, I'll host you, then you host me, and then it starts getting counted and you're indebted because of all of the occasions. Yeah. What advice do you have for people, for the audience to take away?
This is something I struggled a lot with. I still do, because I don't know whether it's my upbringing in the States, my financial mind that has to balance the books. For me, when somebody gave me anything, I calculated right away, this is $1, and I'm going to have to give them something at least worth $1 immediately. And sometimes I would say they don't earn as much as me, so they gave me $1, that's 10% of their income. I need to give them 10% of my income. It was always like this, always, no matter what it was. And it's really hard living that way. So it is hard for me to accept, starting from the compliments to upward, like what you did. It's been a conscious practice. It started out, you won't believe it, started out with my rheumatoid, to allow someone to open the door because I couldn't push the door in the supermarket, and someone to get me a chair. I was so, I'm gonna cry. I felt so indebted to stand and say, I can't drag that chair. And I would stay in the supermarket at the door, and I would try so hard to push the door, and I couldn't. And I would say, could you please help me? And I felt like I owe them something, because I should be able to handle it all. So it started that in 2010 when I had to handle that. And I think that was my journey to acceptance. I'm not really there yet, I have to admit, but because still I always feel like they gave me a lot, they gave me this. But the relationship I was talking about a while ago with you and a couple of other people really doesn't have that. So I know the difference. I don't think how many times I called her to help me, and I don't think like she said, could you do this? Or would you do that? Or she just said, I'm a bit, because I do a lot of energy healing, like I have this horrible headache, it won't go, I've done everything on earth, and just say, okay, I'm just gonna do something for you. So accepting is a practice, and you have to like recognize we're not here to balance books. We are not in a financial world. We are humans, we have a heart, we're here to give, as he was talking. We're here to give and give and give. And by giving, we become pleasure. We find our pleasure actually, because if we talk science, in giving our mind, there is a part of our brain that is produce the beautiful hormones, and people forget that. They're out trying to get like the higher salary, the more money, the whatever it is. But I do understand that, and also it becomes a very heavy load. Like you're talking about the outings or the dinners back and forth. So I removed myself from that society because I couldn't handle it. I couldn't actually pay back. It wasn't part of me having people over. So I could only do what I can do, like every once in a long while, I can have those people over. So it became, so I'm not going to do that. I kept moving out of society and friends and people because I couldn't do it to that extent. If I was redoing life now, I would probably, just say, by the way, it's not me. I don't want to do the dinners and low lunches, but I can come. I think so. It's just a practice. It's a practice, and for some people, it's going to be harder than others. I find the simpler people, like when you work with lower income people, they're simpler about it. They're not so money set. That's what I've found.
Yeah.
I lost you, Rania.
She's still there.
Okay. So that's what I feel. The simpler people, because you do deal with they're just very simple about it, because they have the connection sometimes with the understanding of the world that it's okay, she's more well off than me. She can give me all those dresses. She can give me a bit more money. They say thank you, but it's not like they have this energy of I need to pay it back, which is interesting. I learned from them. I learned from my house help. I learned from my driver how they behave when you give them. In the beginning, I used to be upset, like I gave them a lot. They didn't feel it. They didn't say thank you 100 times. But then I got that they know that it all comes from the universe, and you're just, as you said, the river. So they have this, this is very much embedded in the culture at the lower level in Egypt. They're like, they thank God, actually. They don't really thank you. Yeah. Which was, for me, coming from an American way of thinking. I'm not saying anything about American, but a very materialistic way of thinking. It was like, you're supposed to say, okay, it's God, but it's me. I gave her the money. But now I understand how they think, and I feel they're wiser about it. So they've got it. That's what I feel. We're over almost an hour. We can wrap up if you like, Rania.
I wanted to ask you just one last thing before we do wrap up, because it always feels, and it's the same with the conversations that Flemming and I record, it always feels like you get to the really juicy bits right at the end. I wanted to ask Myrette about guilt. And it's, again, I actually, not to be gender biased, but there's this feeling of what has stopped me, or what actually stops me giving in the end. In the past, now I let go a lot easier, I accept a lot easier, but it was this feeling of guilt. So to the doctors when I had my daughter, I was in so much gratitude that I felt that I had to give them something, and then I didn't give them, and then I felt guilty, and I felt like, the box of chocolates for the ward wasn't enough to thank the nurses in my hour of need, when they helped me, feed my newborn, and I sat with that guilt for so long. I carried it forward for so long, and it was something that was just so heavy, like you say. So as females, how do we let go of the guilt that comes with accepting and comes with not accepting, because it's both sides?
That's an interesting question, because I don't think I ever had that feeling you just described, because I always made it even, so that if they said it cost $100, I made sure I gave them $100. So I thought I paid my debt, it's done. And if I wanted to give a gift, it was something extra, and it was me giving something extra. But I understand you're saying about the guilt sometimes of like, what do I do? For me, it was the accepting and like, I have to pay this back. I have to find a way to pay this back. And it was really heavy. So as I said, if we just go back to basics, I think we just go back, and also telling myself, and know that we are here as channels, we are rivers. And just because somebody has more of something, whether it's time, money, or resources, or wisdom even, doesn't mean that if they give it, that somebody else owes them. Now, there is a transaction. For some part of life should be transactional because we need some of our supplies. But in reality, it doesn't mean that it's just that they've been endowed with that, and they have wisdom. It's from God in the end, so they can just share it. And if we start, I think this is what I was just saying about the less educated or less indoctrinated people. They have that. They think
they have the wisdom. They have
that wisdom inherent in. I watch them. I talk to them a lot because I found it very interesting. It was so different from me. They just have it inside them that it's okay. They have more they can give, whatever it is, whether it's money or time or your effort or whatever. And they sort of expect it, sort of in a way, like it's normal. We don't have this and we need this. It's supposed to come through. And they actually have more of a trust to the universe than a lot of people who are multimillionaires. They know when they get sick, someone's going to step in and a doctor's going to come and somebody's going to pay the bill. They know when they need to get the marriage out. They really know it inside, and they don't worry as much about money. I used to see it with me and my maid. Like, she didn't worry as much as I worried. I was like, how are you coping? How are you living? What are you going to do next year? How are you going to get your girl married? And they're like, it's okay. It's okay. It's going to happen. It's okay. And it did happen. And I watched it over and over and over. And it's a learning to know that it's just a flow. So the guilt is, why guilty? We're all here in whatever capacities we are, and we're supposed to support each other. And if you learn from the things where you don't pay for, like the relationships I have with some people, then you can learn that it really doesn't have to be transactional. It doesn't have to be equal. Whoever can do whatever they can do now, and also the idea of pay it forward, which it doesn't have to come back to this person. Maybe I'll do this for someone else, or maybe my daughter will do something special after I die. It doesn't have to be even through me. And that has changed my guilt story. It doesn't even have to be through me. Maybe somebody I know will do something, and it's okay. It's all okay. You just do what you can. I hope that addresses it.
But what you're touching here is experience and wisdom. Because you can say your servants are used to that. That is their wisdom. And they learn by experience. You can say some people go for an MBA, Harvard, Yale, whatever. What you're taught there is efficiency. You're taught what to think, first of all, and you're rewarded for what you know. And you're taught to squeeze with the lowest level of resources, the highest outcome. This is what is put into your head by the schooling system. In the more simple way of life, you're just living by experience. This is what is going around here. This is what is happening. I don't need to worry. It will be taken care of. That's what happened to my mom and dad. That's what's happening in my surroundings. So here it's an experience for us.
And I think, Flemming, I'd like to just pause you there. It's the contribution. So your contribution to the shared experience, positive part is also, so it could be whatever talents you have. It could be creativity, helping take care or supporting a family. Whatever it is, it's understanding that your contribution is also enough. So we come back full circle to not good enough, not being enough, and not the self-esteem and the self-values. So it's one of those things.
That is,
if I show or I demonstrate my contribution in a particular way, that in itself is just enough. And somebody else may have more money, and somebody else may have longer hair, and somebody else may be good at something else. And I think those areas of communities that it's not money based, they don't pay for it. They've got the sister that cuts her hair, and the sister that's good with the kids, and the other one that can teach something. I think going back to that way of life where support groups, communities can return to the essence of spiritual intelligence and form support groups that enable these contributions to take care of each other. I think there's a lot of value, and I actually think that the last few months have stripped out the money aspect and brought into our reality this community support aspect. And it would be really interesting to see how communities change due to this. You know, and we're lucky to be in a country that supports that positive change. I think hearing what you're talking about, Myrette, there's an awareness where you are with regards to that community, supporting the community in Egypt. So it'll be, I think for me, it'll be really interesting to see what collective learnings we have from this idea of developing our communities and community contributions.
If you go back to your guilt, I would say the guilt is blocking you.
Yes.
It's blocking you and developing of community to more natural. It becomes more natural asking for help.
Yeah.
And the individualism, which me, ego, all the time, which has been promoted for a long time, may be on return. You can say no matter how much money a celebrity has, if you got the COVID-19, she could die. It's not about your position in society. COVID-19 is taking what it wants.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Myrette, for sharing this opportunity with me and with and Flemming for you know, we've all woken up this morning and we've had this experience on such an important day of the year. So thank you so much for the experience and Myrette, for hosting us today.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you all. And I am so happy. This is our act of together. This is our act of generosity to bring what our experience. Maybe someone can learn from it and maybe some pieces of wisdom somewhere. And I think we were quite transparent with our own experiences. Like, well, I'm still stuck with that. I don't know what to do with this or that. And because we're all human and it's just a journey. And I'm really, this conversation is really powerful. I'm happy. I'm hoping we can do this again, Rania, and just come out in conversation of what's on our mind and what's going on in the time, and try to support, as you said, in our way and share in our way. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time. Yes. Wonderful.